I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. So far, we have discussed very important topics about speaking or writing, listening, and reading. So now we will move one step ahead, of all we've covered so far. So you have tried to understand how you can really learn prepositions, and you know about adjectives, the use of adjectives, the significance of adverbs, and so many different concepts. And in addition to that, you also came to understand that these listening, reading, speaking, and writing skills are basic, and they are very much important, and they are all about it's all about communication. They are all about communication, how you communicate your ideas in different modes of transmission, right? Now, so when we talked about all these basic element and fundamental concepts of language learning, now we will try to discuss some topics that are important or that come for these placements or for campus drives. And if you have to solve all the problems, or if you have to solve the points or the exercises or the questions of verbal English, especially for placements, you need to understand what are the topics that you can really expect for these placement or for campus drives. So you don't have to worry about these issues, or once you have a proper understanding of all the concepts that can be asked for campus placements. Right now, those who are worried about verbal English, solving or cracking or qualifying verbal English paper, for them, this is very good news, because you don't have to worry about it. Once you know the pattern of the paper and the concepts, you can predict. Right now, let us get started about about these topics, and let's understand what are the important concepts we can really think about. Now, so you have different companies, right? So very important companies could be Amazon, or all these very important Google companies, Accenture, and different areas or different parts of world. They look for students who can really do well with in their academics, right? Part of that, verbal English does occupy a very important place. So, and part of that, you have to understand, in case you are going to appear for this verbal English exam, what are some concepts that these big companies really look for, right? And TCS, and whatever company you name them, right? Infosys, and all these companies, they center around, or they focus on a few topics that are very important. So now, when you learn articles, prepositions, and adverbs and adjectives, you might be wondering how these questions or the grammar we learn, right? So for this placement, how will they be asked, or under what categories you can really expect them to appear right in the verbal English exam. So for that, you don't have to worry about it. So these are some good points that you can really pay attention to, and definitely you'll be able to get a wonderful picture about the questions that are categorized under general verbal English right now. Now, you know vocabulary, right? And you know the meaning of the words. Then how these questions are answered? Will they ask without any side heading? No, they are asked under one particular umbrella term. Like they can, ask you to provide some synonyms. So, synonym for that particular word, or please provide the synonym for the following word, and they give you MCQs, multiple choice questions. And secondly, if you have to, write the antonym, or if they have some questions on antonyms, then they can really ask you like this, like give an antonym for the following terms, or give an antonym for the following word, or give antonyms for the following words asked. Or else they would also ask like, write the appropriate word. See, when this vocabulary can be understood in different ways. So when you are asked, under these different shades, don't get worried. They mean the same. So once you know the concept, once you know the meaning of the question asked, or the heading of that particular question, or the part, the chunk of the question paper, then you don't have to worry about it. All that you need to do is understand, read the question asked, and definitely you will be able to do well, I say to you once again, right? So, and they can be asked under different names. So basically, the important topics for different companies can really expect are like this, like synonyms, antonyms, fill in the blanks with appropriate word. They can ask like this, or also they can ask the spotting errors. So that means like they will underline sometimes, and they may ask you for the right answer, and sometimes they will not underline. They will not provide any highlight of that particular word in that sentence, but they would ask you to identify the error, and sometimes you will have to give the answer, obviously. So in that situation, what do? So will you be lingering around the question, not knowing about the error? Then you have to work on that. So spotting errors is another area where you can expect questions, general verbal English questions. Next, substitution. What is the substitution? Is the substitution for grammar? Could be, generally they would ask you, regarding this vocabulary. They will ask you, substitute with the appropriate word, substitute with the right meaning, substitute with the right word. So they can ask again, this falls under synonyms or vocabulary. And then they would also ask, identify the sentences. What is this identification? So what do you have to identify in the sentence? They may ask you there to identify, to be identified, or they may ask you what type of sentence is it. Sometimes they would go for conditional sentences, and they would ask you to pick up one important condition. So like, if comes, and then I would come, or or sometimes if I will, or what will come, right? If I had done, what will come? So they will ask you the first position in conditionals, and they would expect you to answer. Now let us see how many questions can be approximately asked, right? So under synonyms, some questions are asked, like 2 to 7 questions are asked. So approximately, and they may go beyond that, but in generally, usually they will take this number. So now I have put for you, the important, the number where you can understand the number of expected questions, so that you can really prepare well for that, so that you can answer very easily, right? So approximately 2 to 7 questions can be asked, part of synonyms. And antonyms generally are not asked beyond synonyms. Usually they are synonyms, vocabulary near appropriate word, and which is very near to the question, in the meaning, and choose the right word, substitute with the right word. These are all to do with vocabulary once again. So that in that way you can understand there is nothing a different concept asked, but only the synonyms that are being asked, right? So now let us understand another category of questions. They are fill in the blanks. So again, fill in the blanks with appropriate words. Again, that falls under vocabulary. At the same time, sometimes what they do is they will ask you to choose whether it is a preposition, or whether it is whether it's an article, or whether it is a conjunction needed, whether it is an introduction, like any other parts of grammar, you can ask. They can be asked, so you can write that. So fill in the blanks with appropriate words, right? Again, so could be grammar or could be vocabulary, right? So again, these questions may be approximately four, but they are not exactly four, but they can ask approximately four questions, or else they can go beyond that. And this is generally asked in, this is more near to this accenture general English verbal English paper, right? So and it could be taken in the same way for the other like companies also. So more or less the section will be the same, right? Next, substitution. Again, substitution with the right vocabulary. So maybe 2 to 4 questions can be expected. Next, identify the sentence. Again, these questions, maybe approximately 3 to 5 questions can be expected. Now, also there are other kinds of questions like a transformation sentence, like you have to transform the sentence from direct, indirect, or passive or active verbs. All these are other areas of grammar. So the questions can be on transformation, questions can be on the sentence improvement, questions can be on odd words, joining sentences, sentence arrangement, tag questions, question tags, right? We said idioms and phrases. Now, let us understand one by one, and right, under what category they appear and how they can be asked in verbal English paper. Right, transformation of sentences. Basically, these are to do with direct and indirect questions, or passive or active voice. They will ask you in one form, wherein you have to change that form in different ways. Okay, you have to answer that. That's one way of answering the question. And sometimes what they may ask you is, they may ask you, change, degrees of comparison, where they will give you positive, comparative, and superlative degrees. So you might have to change, answer the questions related to degrees of comparison also. So this is to do with this transformation of sentences, and approximately 1 to 3 questions can be asked, right? And then next category, sentence improvement. How we can, this again to do with sentence correction, right? And there is an error in in a sentence where you are expected to you correct that sentence. You're expected to change the error of the sentence given there, and you're expected to write the appropriate answer. So you can so that is one way of checking your sentential knowledge, sentence based knowledge. So in that way they're testing you in different ways, and that is good for you. Once you go through this process, definitely they will understand that you're a person of good language, where you can really manage to communicate well. And this is all basic steps that you need to appear and have to go through, right? Next thing is like odd words. And what are these odd words? Odd words are to do with kind of like again kind of like negative words, where you can choose the inappropriate word in the given word. For example, in a sentence like he this that sir called the student to write the exam, or the teacher asked the student not to copy from his friend. For example, if this is a sentence, what they do is like they give a different word. They replace the writer sentence with the wrong words. Like for example, the teacher, okay, and instructed a student not to copy, for example, or the teacher warned the student not to repeat the same mistake. Instead of saying the warned, what they say is like the teacher appreciated the student not to copy from his friend, or the teacher appreciated the student not to reproduce the same answer as his friend is doing it. So See, this is the misappropriate word. See, inappropriate word. It is a wrong word. What the teacher appreciated the student. So this is the odd word. And what do you have to do? You have to do the right questions. You have to do the. You have to pick and choose the right word. So this is like finding this odd man out. You have to circle it, or they may circle it, or sometimes they do not highlight it in any way. So in that case, the problem is like how you are, how you are trying to, highlight the word, and how you are trying to bring out it. So that is very important. So odd words are, another category. So approximately maybe 2 to 7 questions. Next, joining sentences. Joining sentences, this is another type where they will you will have to for example, like again in a sentence, again they break that sentence in different chunks, where you have to write the appropriate word and join the sentence, so that sometimes the choice may be there and sometimes the choice may not be there. So in that case, what they do is like number one, like they say the teacher, number two, appreciated, or number three, the student. Like they number it in a sentence and they break the sentence in 3 different areas. So what they do is they cannot, they have to bring all that in a single line, and they build that in a complete sentence. So that is one thing. So approximately 2 to 5 questions are up. Again, sentence arrangement. This is also similar as we saw sentence improvement. It's like they give the different parts of sentences, and you have to build up that proper meaningful sentence arrangement. Sometimes they give scrambled sentences. Sometimes you have to find that in order, put that in order. So some 3 questions approximately can be asked, and sometimes question tags are also asked. So how, like, isn't she, wasn't he, like did they or doesn't she? Some questions related to question tags, but these are not frequently asked in all companies general verbal English. But at least some questions are maybe approximately 2 to 4 questions can be asked. And then idioms and phrases are also asked in general verbal English, because generally they go for phrasal verbs also at the same time, and idioms, and some generally commonly used phrases in the English language. So sometimes they say maybe like it's like beating around the bush, like lurking in the dark. And they can just put your feet in somebody's shoes, okay, kick the ball, or the ball is in your coat. So there are several idioms and phrases where you can recall them. And how do you know how they, because there are many idiomatic expressions and phrases in the English language, then how do you know how many can be expected and what can be expected under these idioms and phrases? So what you have to do for that is like go to the previous question papers and check for the repeatedly given questions part of this idioms and phrases, and also use your discretion and wisdom to understand which is more frequently used in the English language. When you listen, watch, read the newspaper, and what is commonly understood and used in your context where the English language is more prevalent, and where other culture people also, or other professionals also, or different categories of people use the commonly or widely used expressions, idiomatic and phrasal phrases. And phrasal verbs are also asked besides idioms and phrases, because phrasal verbs like hang out, hang in, right, check in, check out, and then like hold on, hold up, and also give away, get away, get through, pass through, pass away. So all these phrasal verbs are also asked in addition to these idiomatic expressions, idioms and phrases. And approximately 3 to 8 questions can be expected. And this range of questions I'm talking across all other companies, and especially for Accenture. And to continue with the questions, let me talk about the tenses that are part of general verbal English. So tenses are also commonly, frequently asked questions. So they may give, in one tense, and you have to identify the inappropriate one and have to write the correct tense of the word given. So this is very important, my dear students. Focus on tenses, especially when you are dealing with general English. Do not forget to focus and practice more on tenses. This is very important, and these can be asked easily. Right. Next, so approximately maybe 5 questions can be asked. Such a it's not a small number you can expect. It's a good huge number, big number. Next, so tenses could be like simple present tense, present continuous, past, past continuous, simple past, okay, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, right? All this future, simple future continuous tense. All this can be asked again. They are especially these are identified under the spotting error sometimes, right? So that is again you can expect some 3 to 5 questions. Next, identify the errors. You have to identify the errors. Again, these error correction, spotting errors, more or less the same. So, but these are the labels that are given in verbal English. That is the reason I put all the labels that are asked in this verbal English, though they are same in most of the cases, like identify the errors or spot the errors. These are same, and sometimes active voice and passive voice. There they may give transformational sentence, transform this sentence. This they're same, they're the same, but then like they come with different labels, so that students should be able to identify and understand the meaning of the category or the label that is given in the exam. Next, plural forms also sometimes they say, like, they picked up different flower and find the error here. So they picked up different flower or flowers, right? Different flower. And there are many different flower. So spot the error. Flower is the wrong thing. The flowers. So it again in plural forms, like and mostly they give in the first person, second person singular, third person plural. See, there are so many errors you can really identify them based on this tenses and plural forms. Next, spelling text. Spelling test. This is again frequently and importantly asked, labeled concept, that is like spelling test. Like they will give you now very sometimes tough words, and they will ask you to write the spellings of these words. So you need to understand, this is to check your spelling understanding or comprehension or spelling ability, right? They will understand whether you're able to write it or not. So mostly, how do you know which words that you can really expect? Generally, you cannot predict which word they can be asked, because the English language has a huge number of words and the highest number of words that can be used in this world. So you cannot expect any sort of spellings that can be answered randomly in this verbal English exam. But there's a clue that, like, the clue is what I can give you or offer is that, like, if you understand this, a double T, double E, right? Double T, like some words like committee, right? So some words like there, right? So they are, accommodation. So some words where the letters of alphabet or these letters of alphabet are repeated or, given twice. So, or they are in 2 numbers, then those questions can be asked, my dear listeners. So go for such words and prepare, and maybe approximately 3 to 5 questions can be asked. Next, again, let me give you this outline of the topics for companies. So again, this is for some different companies. Again, see the same topics: sentence corrections, error identifications. Labels are different, but the concept is same. Sentence completion. See, there's sentence improvement. In the earlier slide, we saw sentence improvement, like sentence completion. Here it is, like para jumbles. Parajumbles. So sometimes what they give you is they give you five paragraphs as a piece of article where the paras are jumbled. That means they are not in a sequence. So what do you have to do? Read the introduction, understand the supporting details. Sometimes the conclusive part or this conclusion is given in the top of the article, where you have to understand the body of this any piece of writing for that matter. So understand the sequence, and then you can finish it. Next, so that is how you can assemble the jumbled or the scrambled areas. That is one thing. Next, reading comprehension is another thing. This is very important, my dear viewers. Anywhere you write, not only for this campus placement, you write any exams, like you write central government exams or state government exams. This is very common topic or area in English. So you have to understand there are some strategies. If you understand the concept, I'm sure definitely you can master that concept, right? All that you have to do is try to understand the key or strategies of it. Right? Next, again, synonyms, and then see repetitively as in different companies. And grammar, you have to learn and about the subject, verb, agreement, tenses, articles, voices, speech is different, indirect and direct speech, and prepositions, conjunctions, and other parts of speech, adjectives, adverbs, and these are very prominent and significant, if for verbal English. So that's very important. You have to pay attention to. Next, synonyms. Now let us see what are some words that might confuse you, and what these general English questions focus on. Sometimes they give you amazing, so and you will have to pick up from different alternatives, so you don't get confused, where you have to pick. If you do not know the meaning of the word astounding, right? Astounding, like it's great amazement, right? Amazing, that is something to do with. So you have to realize that these are more or less the same, right? Astounding, surprising, stunning. So again, more or less the same, the meaning is. So they annihilate. So for example, is something that is removed, annihilate. Okay. And for example, like destruction. So annihilation, haven't you heard of the word annihilation? Like for example, you say that is no longer, used in that, and that is annihilated. So annihilation is something that you no longer in use, and that's remote. Destruction, carnage, extinction. So you see animals extinct, right? They're no longer survive. So the same. And some similar words like benefit, profit, revenue, yield. Yield is like something you get, right? From different parts. So this is another thing you have to focus. And these are different synonyms that can be used. Now, brave, courageous, this one, valiant is used sometimes. Valiant is nothing but heroic. Or heroic, that means like, somebody who is very king, dynamic, without any fear, with the bold and courageous. Next, center, again another synonym. Center, middle, inside, midpoint. See, these several synonyms can be used. Cunning, see a word like cunning. You all know that. Sometimes the word keen is used. And from the alternatives, do not get confused. Don't think that cunning is to do with only wickedness. Sometimes nearer words can also be picked up from the given alternatives. Like keen, sharp, slick, which is something very, sharp edged knife, slicking. Generally we say this, the metal that is, very sharp and can be easily used to cut, right? So that is also the same. Next, destitute, right? Poor. Destitutes, we say, like, lack of, facilities, money, resources. poor, bankrupt to say, I went bankrupt now. And because it's bankrupt to say, there's no money, enough money in the deposit. So lack of money again. Impoverished, we say, impoverished people. People who are very poor. Next, so these are the same, but in case they give you different antonyms, and any of these words asked, like impoverished or bankrupt to say, then you can choose this one. Next, some different words like deteriorating. That means slowly degenerating. Her health is deteriorating day by day, it's going down. Next, pollution is also defilement. Where is something which is very pure and gets spots, and that means in terms of kind of character or quality and kind of material, or the defilement, something that is started getting destructed and destroyed. And adulteration is another word. You see adulterated products especially, right? All this can be understood. Next, enormous, again different synonyms: huge, gigantic, massive. All these are used. And different other synonyms like evil, bad, wicked, all this. Wild person, wild sinner, we say, wild person, but is very wicked. Malicious, we say, malicious, dangerous. So these are nothing but synonyms, are nothing but words that have similar meaning. So connotations, like they are endless synonyms where you have to understand. So when you do that, definitely you'll be able to practice it. You'll be able to understand different words. Like some more synonyms like fertile, very productive, fruitful, abundant, productive. See, all these can be used. And another place for where you live, dwelling, like abode, we say heavenly, is reached, heavenly abode. That's a domicile. That's a place where you will live. So see, for a word like house, everybody knows, but it's abode or domicile. Domicile is also commonly used, but abode, dwelling, is something that you have to pay attention to. Next, like hungry, ravenous, empty. Hungry, ravenous, empty, injured, damaged, brilliant, knowledge. So all these words, injury or damage, wounded, harmed, they fall in the same way category. And these are some words like intelligent, knowledgeable. And for look, glance, see, so many words: gazing, stare, all that. And also loyal, faithful, ardent believer of something, devoted to, dedicated to. Old, elderly, aged, senior. Organization, institution, management. Partner, associate, colleague, companion. See, all these are different synonyms you can use. Polite, courteous, cordial, gracious. So you can have a look at it. All these words. Risk, dangerous, perilous, times we say, treacherous, strategy that the person came up with. And also for feeling drowsy, you say sleepy, listless, sluggish, bit lazy kind of. And then true, correct, right, accurate, exact. And vacant, empty, deserted, left alone, uninhabited, place where nobody lives. So all these can be used as soggy, wet, moist, silt. So these are some more words you can, focus to be the life and soul of the party. For example, you say that means like crux of that, something that a fun person who is the center of the activity. To bend over backwards, there is another expression. Sometimes they may ask you to give the meaning. That means to try very hard to help someone. To try very hard to help someone. This is another word expression. The meaning that you can understand, where you try helping someone and you will be in risk. That's something. Next, broad-minded, like prepared to accept other views. This is easygoing or extrovert or company of others. These are generally asked questions. So these are the words you have to focus when it comes to general English. So in the next class, we will discuss some more important words, how you can really easily understand and qualify the general English paper. So In today's session, we discussed some synonyms, important synonyms, and what are the topics that are asked, right, for the exam. You can understand different words like this, and some more words where you can see is fair-minded, right, fun-loving. Fair-minded person is somebody who treats people equally, right. Fun-loving person, somebody who is very into this enjoying mood, who loves to have fun. Self-assured person is somebody who is very confident. That kind of self-assurance is there always, right, and that self-assurance is needed. So that's important. Self-centered person thinks only of oneself, is very, self-centric person, we say, right. These are some words you can think. Next, some more vocabulary you can understand is to hide one's light under a bushel. Some idiomatic expressions are also, as we've discussed in the first part of our session, right. So to hide one's light under a bushel, what is the meaning of it? To hide one's talents and skills. To hide one's talents and skills. Someone who is not very openly, like displaying his or her talents. So that is the meaning, right? Next, good company, good sense of humor, we can say. Sense of humor, a person who has this sense of humor is the ability of having the ability to understand what's so fun. Next, introvert. Introvert is somebody who is very shy. Laid back, someone who is easygoing person. Next, some more words like to lose one's temper means like all of a sudden they become so angry, right? So that is one thing. Next, narrow-minded person is not able to accept others' views and ideas. Next, painfully shy. Painfully shy means very shy person, very embarrassed, feeling very embarrassed. To put others first. Okay, to put others first. Thinking of others first. Quick-tempered is easily, and reserved is somebody who is very shy and not willing to speak. Next, self-confident is easily understood. Self-effacing. Effacing means somebody who doesn't to not try to get the attention of others, right? Hiding one's skills and abilities, near to a shy meaning, but then like somebody who is not willing to grab the attention of others. Self-effacing person, that's a good quality one should have sometimes. Next, to take after. She took after her mother, we say. What's the meaning? It is about to be like, right? Resembling someone, to be like someone. Often another member of the family. That is the meaning. Next, thick-skinned person. What is this thick-skinned? Who is this thick-skinned person? That means somebody who is not affected by criticism. Thick-skinned person. Somebody who is who is always criticized and we understand. Oh, he's a thick-skinned person. He doesn't get easily affected or get hurt. So sometimes we need to be very good. We need to be very thick-skinned in order to withstand the wrong or bad criticism of others in our places. Next, a trustworthy person. Who is this trustworthy person? Somebody who can be trusted. Right, so that's it. Two-faced person. Two-faced is somebody who is somebody who plays double. Who has this double-minded personality, where somebody is not sincere and honest, and sometimes before others, he will be very good and right behind them. So two-faced person. So some words that are very confusing, I would like to bring to your notice. Like we say, exceed, concede, exceed. Exceed means somebody who takes up the position after someone completes, right? Exceeded somebody, exceeded that throne. Next, concede means to accept reluctantly. For example, like though they know the truth and they're not willing to accept it, and that person conceded, we say, right? Though he knows the truth. So it's like, admit or agree that something is true after first denying. Some in the very first reaction, the response is very wrong, and after that he tries to agree slowly. So that is what conceding means. And then exceeding means to surpass, going beyond, right? Extremely. Exceeding means to surpass, and so that means, and these are some words that are very often confused. And then also we have to know or learn accompanied by, accompanied with, accompanied by, accompanied with. So what is this accompanied by or accompanied with? Both words are same accompaniment, but then one word is accompanied by, and some another word is accompanied by with word. So it's just like, to be followed by, to be, given in company. Accompanied by refers to people, or for example, you know the meaning of it. But then when do you use by? And inanimate, for example, not living people, human beings, but when you refer to animals or or like inanimate things, we say some performances or shows, we say that we use the word accompanied by. Next, accompanied with is referred to objects. For example, it's like you cannot reverse by and with. With always takes inanimate things, with lifeless things. Whereas by takes people, refers to people. Like he's accompanied by his friend. We don't say he's accompanied with his friend. But whereas we say accompanied with some other, performance, like it is accompanied with that means lifeless or inanimate performances or objects. So by, for, we use when we are referring to people, whereas with we use it when we are referring to inanimate things. Right? Accent and dialect, more or they are again they're same, but they are similar in understanding, but they are not the same in meaning. Like sometimes people understand that they are the same, but they are not. Accent is something like you use a strong kind of way of style of speaking, like it's American accent, British accent. Whereas dialect is the language that is locally spoken within one particular place or context or country, where the meanings will be different, the pronunciation, vocabulary, intonation, everything, phonology or lexicon, all these are very different. So that's the basic distinction between this accent and dialect. So these are a few words that I have brought for you, just to give you the some sample or examples for the verbal English vocabulary. And in the later sessions, we will also see what are the other areas of grammar and other components of the English language that are asked for these verbal English exams, especially for placements. Right. Thank you. Hope you understood the concept. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.